Have you ever walked into a room, stood there for a moment, and then wondered, why did I come in here? Or maybe you've misplaced your glasses, only to find them resting on top of your head. Don't worry, you're not alone, and more importantly, you're not losing your mind. These little lapses are part of life, but they can feel a bit more frustrating after retirement, especially when the fast pace of our working lives slows down, and suddenly we have more time, but our memory and focus don't always keep up. Here's the truth that not enough people talk about. Your brain wants to stay sharp. It's built for learning, growing, stretching, and it doesn't stop wanting that just because you've hit 60, 70, or even 80. The brain is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger and younger it stays. And the good news? You don't need to enroll in university or solve complex math equations. In fact, the activities that keep your mind young are often simple, joyful, and even fun. Today, we're going to talk about 5 powerful learning activities that can help your brain feel 20 years younger. These are practical things you can do from home without needing fancy equipment or expensive programs. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's begin with something you might not expect: learning a new language. Now, before you shake your head and say, "I'm too old for that," let me tell you something fascinating. Studies show that learning a new language improves memory, strengthens focus, and even delays the onset of age-related cognitive decline. But the real magic is in what it does to your brain. When you learn even basic words in a new language, your brain starts building fresh neural pathways. It's like giving your mind a brand new pair of running shoes and setting it loose on a track. And no, you don't need to become fluent. Just the process of trying, of engaging with the sounds and structures of a different language, even if it's only 5 minutes a day, lights up parts of your brain that often go unused in daily life. Start with a language you're curious about. Maybe you've always wanted to learn French because you loved those old Paris movies, or Spanish so you can chat with neighbors or understand a new culture. You can use free apps on your phone, follow along with YouTube videos, or even label things around your home with sticky notes in the new language. It's not about perfection, it's about the effort and the excitement of learning. And while we're talking about keeping the brain young through learning, let's move to something else that's equally powerful: learning to play a musical instrument. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I don't have the coordination, or I'm not musically gifted. But let me ask you this: have you ever tapped your foot to a rhythm, hummed along to a song from your younger days? Then you already have music in you, and picking up a simple instrument like a ukulele, a keyboard, or even learning to drum with your hands can be one of the most effective ways to stimulate your brain. You see, music activates multiple areas of the brain at once. When you play an instrument, your brain works on fine motor skills, memory recall, pattern recognition, and even emotional processing, all at the same time. It's like a full-body workout, but for your mind. And again, you don't need to become the next Mozart. Just 5 to 10 minutes a day playing along with online tutorials can bring a sense of joy and accomplishment that lifts your entire mood. One gentleman I know, Harold, picked up the harmonica at age 72. He started by just making a few squeaky sounds, but he kept at it. A year later, he plays old blues tunes for his grandkids. And the best part? He says it makes him feel alive. Not just happy, but engaged with life, like there's something new to look forward to each day. Learning something new gives your brain a signal that it's still needed, that it's still growing, still relevant. And that's an incredibly powerful message to send to yourself, especially in a world that sometimes tells older people to slow down and fade into the background. You're not fading, you're flourishing. And here's the thing, these activities aren't just about memory or staying sharp. They're about keeping your spirit young. When you wake up with something to explore, to practice, to laugh about when it goes wrong, it brings light into your day. And when you go to bed at night, knowing you've done something just for your own growth and enjoyment, that's the kind of peace that money can't buy. There's no age limit on curiosity, no expiration date on wonder. Your brain still lights up like a child's when it's learning something new. And every time it does, you're not just keeping it young, you're keeping yourself young in the deepest, most beautiful way. So whether it's learning to say good morning in Japanese or playing your first simple melody on a keyboard, remember, it's not about being great at it. There's a certain glow that comes from learning, not just in the mind, but in the eyes, the posture, even the way someone speaks. You've probably seen it in someone who just discovered a new interest, a new skill. That energy isn't reserved for the young. In fact, it often shines brighter in people who've lived enough life to truly appreciate it. Let's continue this journey by looking at another deeply powerful way to keep the brain youthful after retirement, taking up creative writing or journaling. Now, you don't need to be a poet or novelist to benefit from putting pen to paper. Writing is not just a form of communication, it's a form of thinking. When you sit down and let your thoughts flow, something remarkable happens. You begin to process emotions, organize memories, and activate areas of the brain responsible for language, decision-making, and reflection. Think about it. Every time you write a sentence, your brain pulls together ideas, selects words, arranges them, and filters your emotions into something meaningful. That's a beautiful kind of mental exercise, and it's completely within your reach. You could start a gratitude journal and write down 3 small things each day that made you smile. You could write a letter to a younger version of yourself, or even capture stories from your past that your children or grandchildren have never heard. One woman I spoke to recently, named Barbara, started writing short memoirs at age 68. She began by simply writing about the day her husband proposed to her. Then she moved on to stories from her childhood, moments she hadn't thought about in decades. She told me that as she wrote, memories became clearer, more vibrant, as if she were traveling through time. And the side effect, her memory improved, her mood lifted. She felt like she had a purpose again. And that's what this is really about. Purpose, engagement, staying active not just in body but in heart and mind. Writing offers a quiet, private way to do that. It's inexpensive, deeply personal, and it doesn't matter whether anyone else ever reads what you write. What matters is that you write, that you give your thoughts a home on the page, and in doing so, keep your brain buzzing with life. Now, let's shift to something a little more hands-on, but equally rich in benefits, learning a new craft or art form. Whether it's painting, pottery, quilting, woodworking, or even something as simple as adult coloring books, engaging in creative work helps stimulate the right hemisphere of your brain. This is the part that deals with spatial awareness, visual processing, and imagination. And when you engage it, it balances your cognitive functions, giving your whole brain a healthy workout. Crafts are more than just hobbies. They're an expression of you, and every brushstroke, every pattern, every shape you create tells your brain, we're not done growing yet. Even if your hands shake a little or you need more time to finish something, the act of creating is powerful. It builds confidence, enhances focus, and even improves hand-eye coordination, something that becomes especially valuable as we age. I remember watching an elderly man named Arthur at a community center as he carved a small wooden bird. His hands were slow but steady. He was surrounded by younger people, all chatting and laughing. But Arthur, he was focused, calm, joyful. When he finished, he held up his carving and said, "Would you believe I never touched a chisel until last year?" He wasn't proud because it was perfect. He was proud because he did it. When you learn a new craft, you also give yourself permission to play again. And that's something we often forget to do as adults. We become so focused on responsibility and routine that we lose touch with curiosity and creativity. But these qualities don't disappear. They're just waiting for a chance to come back. Whether it's knitting a scarf for your grandchild or painting a landscape from your imagination, creative work brings joy that reaches deep into the soul. And let's not forget the social side of learning. Many seniors find it incredibly rewarding to join local art classes, writing workshops, or language meetups. These aren't just opportunities to learn, they're chances to connect, to laugh, to share. Loneliness can be one of the most painful parts of aging, but learning with others builds new friendships and reminds you that you're not alone in this season of life. You're surrounded by people who are also growing, exploring, and rediscovering themselves. Even if you're learning at home, through online classes or YouTube videos, you're still connecting. You're engaging with a global community of learners who, just like you, want more from life than just passing time. They want to live fully, and they know that keeping the mind young is one of the keys to doing just that. So whether it's tapping away at a new language app, writing a poem, picking up a paintbrush, or shaping clay, there's something incredibly powerful about realizing that the best parts of life don't have to be behind you. In fact, with the right mindset, some of the most meaningful and mentally stimulating experiences can begin after retirement. We've already talked about how learning a language, playing music, writing, and getting creative with your hands can bring fresh energy and focus. But there's one more activity that can truly revitalize your brain and spirit, and that's learning technology. Now, I know that might sound intimidating. Computers, smartphones, apps, social media, it's a whole new world, and sometimes it feels like it moves too fast to keep up. But here's the truth, you don't have to know everything. You just have to be willing to learn something new. And even that small step can create enormous changes in how your brain functions. You see, learning to navigate technology forces your brain to work in different, more adaptive ways. It challenges your memory, problem-solving, spatial awareness, and even hand coordination all at once. When you learn how to use a new device or software, your brain has to build brand new connections. And the more it builds, the younger it acts. Start simple. Maybe it's learning how to use email to stay in touch with family. Maybe it's watching YouTube videos to learn new recipes or joining a video call with friends across the world. Every little bit counts. You don't have to become a tech wizard. You just have to engage. And if you're not sure where to begin, ask someone for help. Trust me, most younger people are thrilled when a grandparent or elder relative says, "Can you teach me how to use this?" It becomes more than just a tech lesson. It becomes a bridge between generations. And once you get comfortable with the basics, the door opens to so much more. You can take free online classes on almost any topic: history, art, gardening, philosophy, right from your home. There are apps for brain training, meditation, puzzles, books, and more. Technology isn't something to fear. It's something to embrace as a tool that can connect, entertain, and educate. But perhaps the most beautiful thing about learning new things, whether it's through writing, crafting, music, or tech, is how it changes the way you see yourself. Because here's what no one tells you. When you retire, it's easy to feel invisible, to feel like your time has passed, like the world has moved on without you. But that's a lie. The world needs your voice, your wisdom, your curiosity. And the act of learning sends a powerful message to your brain and your heart that you are still growing, still relevant, still you. Even more than that, learning gives you back a sense of control. So much about aging can feel like it's happening to us. Aches, forgetfulness, loss. But when you choose to learn, you're actively shaping your experience. You're saying, I still decide what happens next. And that kind of empowerment isn't just good for your brain, it's good for your soul. Think of your brain like a garden. The older the garden, the richer the soil. But only if you keep planting. Learning is how you water and nourish that garden. Every time you try something new, you're planting seeds that grow into confidence, clarity, and joy. And let's be honest, life after retirement doesn't have to be about slowing down. It can be about shifting focus, about turning your attention to things you always wanted to do, but never had the time for. Maybe you once dreamed of learning to dance, or studying a bit of astronomy, or understanding how your smartphone works without help. There's no better time than now. Not because time is running out, but because it's finally yours. As we bring this conversation to a close, I want you to take a deep breath and ask yourself, what am I curious about? What little spark of interest have I been ignoring? Because that spark, that's where your next adventure begins. You don't need to make big, dramatic changes. Even 10 minutes a day of focused learning can make a world of difference. Over time, those 10 minutes become confidence, clarity, and renewed mental strength. They become stories you share, skills you pass on, and joy that you feel deep inside. So here's to the explorers, the late bloomers, the curious minds who know that age isn't a limit, it's a vantage point. You've lived through decades of change, of challenges, of victories big and small. You've learned so much already, and the most exciting part? There's still more to learn, more to feel, more to be. Remember, small steps lead to big results. A new word in a new language, a melody on an unfamiliar instrument, a story from your heart on a clean sheet of paper, a video tutorial that makes you laugh and think, I never knew that. These are the moments that breathe life into your days. And you're not on this journey alone. There's a whole community of people just like you, eager to learn, to grow, to share, so don't be shy.